Well, hello, everyone. I'm Paula, and welcome to Off the Clock. This is the show where job titles take a break and real conversations take the spotlight. No labels, no LinkedIn perfect answers, just honest conversations. Quick thing before we get started, if we enjoy real conversations like this one, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, Off Script with Paula. Get this video a like, share it, share the live with someone you think you should be watching with you. It really helps me. I'm just starting my new YouTube channel, so any help, it's highly appreciated. If you're joining us live, say hi in the chat. We'll be watching your comments because we love interactions. This is the what make live shows magical. I can see here someone already saying it's Craig. Click Media, aloha. Hello, Craig. I can always count on your support, Craig. Thank you so much. So let's get this started. So today's guest is someone who has managed to do something very rare in hospitality. He made the industry laugh at himself. So I'm talking about Calvin Tilokee. Calvin Tilokee is the mind behind the Revparblems. I always say that wrong, and I hope he can correct me as soon as he gets on stage. One of the most relatable meme accounts in hospitality. My favorite. Every day I laugh with his memes, and I always send him some sort of reaction. And someone who also helps hotels rethink how they tell their stories and connect with guests. So please let me introduce you and welcome to the stage, Calvin Tilokee.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Calvin. First question that it's not, it's off script. How can I say it right? Because I want to say Rev Par Problems, but I know it's a junction, and it's like for me, I'm Brazilian. English is not
Well, I will put you at ease. It has nothing to do with you being Brazilian or English being a second language. A lot of English, basic English speaking people make the same mistake. It's Revparblems. So I kind of put. I mean, you guys basically are saying all the words. I just kind of smushed them
Yeah.
together. Admittedly, I could have made it easier to say, but we are where we are at this point.
No, but it is very smart. It's just that for me, I don't know how to say that in English, but you know when you have things that you cannot say, like the tongue doesn't it
Yeah,
doesn't
tongue
really
twister.
go. Yeah. So it's like, oh, anyway. But
It is
yeah,
a bit of
so
a tongue twister. So
oh, Craig is saying always great conversation with Paula and her guest. Thank you so much, Craig. And
absolutely.
then he's also saying that's because he's a great person, a hospitality leader. Sure he
I
is. So let's
appreciate
get
that,
this
Mr. Sullivan.
so let's get this started, Calvin, because I have too many things to ask you, and I
Yeah.
have to start with that's 90s post. You know, the post. I think you posted. I don't know if it was the day before yesterday, but it was very, or yesterday even.
Yeah.
That got a lot of buzz, me included. I love it. It's incredible. Uh, I especially because I really like the TV series Scrubs
Yeah.
and he's part of it. I don't know if you know it,
Oh
but
yeah. Oh
of
yeah.
course it's you. So yeah, yeah, of course I
Right.
know.
Of course. I mean, I was there. I
Yeah.
was there. I had to audition really hard for that part. I'm really excited for the reboot coming out soon. You guys stay tuned for that. Yeah. So for those of you who have not seen it, there's a trend going on right now where people are saying the caption is what were you like in the '90s, and most people are putting doppelgangers of themselves. So what I used to get in the '90s a lot was Donald Faison from Scrubs, but he was famous for Clueless in the '90s. Um, admittedly, I never saw it. I didn't know
Oh
why
no.
people thought I looked like him, but I got it a lot. So I was like, okay, there has to be something there. So that's what came to mind when I hopped on this trend, and I think there's a few people who are legitimately fooled and think
Yeah,
that
but it
I'm
does have it.
actually
Yeah, yeah. I have
well,
to look it twice. To be honest, I was
yeah.
like, oh wait.
It is fair. I did used to dress like that. So admittedly, I did used to dress like that. I wore a lot of backwards baseball caps. Typically, that would match some sort of sports jersey I was wearing, whether it be a basketball jersey or hockey or something. I was very coordinated. Um, so yeah, I mean, I can't really blame people, but I would hope that if people have been following me for a couple of years, they would know that I'm not a Hollywood actor. But I guess a few people
Yeah.
were fooled. I got a lot of congratulations. Someone said,
Oh my God.
yeah, they were like, "Oh wow, how did I not ever know this was you?" I'm like, "Because it ain't." That's why.
It's simple as that because it didn't. But Calvin, okay. But let's talk a little bit about the 90s. But I
Yeah.
wonder, since we're talking about the good old times, what
Hmm.
was 90s Calvin's dream life, and how far or close did reality actually land from that? Like,
I would say it's pretty far from what my dream life would have been in the 90s. So just so people know, I mean, I graduated high school in 1997. So the 90s, I was a teenager. I was playing sports, listening to music, and that was it. That's all I was doing in those days. So my dream, like most young boys in America at that age, was probably to be a professional soccer player. And I'm pretty far from that. you know I'm pretty far from that. That dream died when I got to college, and we didn't have a team. They were supposed to have a team. They didn't have a team. I went to a very small
okay.
university in Maryland. Would have been Division One, a small division one,
Mhm.
but nonetheless would have been a D1 player. But yeah, the school lost funding on it like right before I
Oh,
started. So my professional career pretty much died at that point. I did keep a fairly decent Sunday league career, playing against those guys in pickup and, through my adult years playing on the weekends. Um, but yeah, so I would say what I'm doing now in hospitality marketing and making memes about hotels is very far from the life that I watch every weekend when I watch an Arsenal.
I, I like that you are into sports. That soccer was in your it still is part of your life. I just don't. My only thing is that you're an Arsenal fan and not a Flamengo fan, and I hope you know what Flamengo is, because it's the best team in the
I
world. But
do.
besides
I
that, it's
do.
okay.
I believe there's a former Arsenal player there now, Jorginho, if I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah,
Yeah.
he is playing. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you come to Rio, I take you to Maracanã and we watch a Flamengo game, and then you will fall in love.
Listen, that sounds
But
like a deal. I think that would come full circle because I really fell in love with the game with watching Brazil growing up.
oh
We have to call him the original Ronaldo at this point. Is still
yeah,
my favorite. He's my favorite striker of all time. Is an
yeah,
absolute
yeah, we love him.
phenomenon of a player. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay, cool. Now going back to a little bit more serious.
I lost your audio there. Yeah, I can do some miming in the meantime. Yeah, so we've lost a little audio there from Paula. So I can fill the gap by maybe I can guess what she's trying to say. I would say, okay, she's probably asking me, can you hear me? The answer is no, I cannot hear her. We could also
Hear
discuss
me
how
now.
yes, we can. Yes, we can.
It
Well,
is. I'm not gonna tell the audience. It is my damn Bluetooth thing here that it's disconnecting all the time, and I apologize everyone for that. I think I will actually take it out because it's not really working, right? So, but let me
sometimes you
just
just got to
make this
go
quick.
analog, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. But just let me do this question, and while you're doing it, I do this because otherwise I'm gonna disturb all the show. So what
For
we were
sure.
saying is that, sorry, Calvin and everybody. What we're saying that you did not become, unfortunately, a Hollywood star nor a football player, but you did spend years in revenue management in hotels, working in hotels
Pretty close.
before. Yeah, before you launch your company. So, what was the exact moment, Calvin, when you realized this industry is so ridiculous that it deserves memes?
The exact moment. That's a very good question. I mean, I've always been pretty silly. I've always had a good sense of humor. I think it's a way that I deal with stress. Really, I'm always going to be. I've always been that person in a stressful situation to kind of make a joke and lighten the mood. Um, it's hard to pinpoint an exact moment. The memes really started when um, this has got to be close to like to 2010, maybe. Um, had an I was the reservations manager at a Crown Plaza in Times Square. Had a really fun department there. We had my intern was hilarious. We had a staff of 3 or 4. Everybody, we just loved to laugh. And I just remember making a few. This is the days you would have to print them out. So there was like, I forgot, like a mememaker.com, memegenerator.com, and they had maybe, all the same templates that everybody was using. You had Sweet Brown and, 5 or 10 different things that everyone was using. So I think I started making a couple of stuff you would deal with because you're constantly dealing with guests that have ridiculous requests or, co-workers or something would happen. You kind of look at your coworker like, the only way we can kind of talk about it is through a meme. But it probably when I became a director, which is around 2012, I got my first director position, and I would make kind of a meme of the week. I'd print it out and put it on my door. Mostly to mess with sales. They would, I had a sales team that was pretty fun, but the classic, hey, guest needs a lower rate, and I'm like, no, we're sold out. So I'd make a joke about it because, hey, listen, you always, it's a team, we're working together. Just because I'm saying no doesn't mean I don't like you, but we all just try to find some fun in the day to day, I guess. So that's probably around when it started. And I do remember we did a Christmas. I don't know if you guys have the same thing where I think we call it White Elephant. There's a few different names for it, where everyone, the whole office would just bring in a gift, right? So then, but they're not assigned to any one person. Somebody would kind of grab a gift. If they want to open it, they keep it and pass it along. And I put a meme on top because I didn't wrap it. I didn't find the time to make any wrapping paper, and I was like, wrapping paper? Ain't nobody got time for that. And nobody wanted to open my gift because they thought it was going to be something silly inside. It turned out to be a really cool gift. I can't remember what it was. But the person that got it was like, "Oh wow, this is actually really good." I was like, "Yeah, see, somebody should have opened it." But it just looked funny, so they were like, "Yeah, you probably put some prank in there."
You can judge a book by its cover, right?
Exactly. Somebody
or a present by its wrapping or whatever. It's the name of that.
Yeah. Somebody learned a lesson that day.
Well, but okay. So then from, was it, maybe I'm completely wrong, but was it around COVID time or something that you really?
That's when that's when I really grew. It had started a few years before COVID. It actually started as a Facebook group. The company I was with was pretty spread out around the country. So I said, hey, why don't we make this into a Facebook group? We all knew each other, but we only saw each other once a year. I was like, everybody can sort of dump memes in here, and it just grew and grew and grew, and it got to a point where I was the only one making one every day. So it sort of became known as Calvin's group. So it went from there. But the issue with that was when you post on Facebook, your name is on it. So everyone knows who I am and everyone knows where I work. And people just like the 90s joke I just made, people took it too seriously. So I make a joke and they think I'm talking about my analyst, my GM, my salesperson. I'm like, no, I'm just going. At this point, I had already worked in the industry 8-10 years. It's like I'm pulling from situations that we've all dealt with and that I've dealt with. So anyway, long story short, took it to Instagram so I could become faceless as it continued to grow and grow. Then around COVID, it really exploded because I think everybody needed that comic relief.
Yeah.
I think it became a place where people went to just sort of get away from all the stress we were all under. I mean, everyone in the industry was affected at the same time. And I was growing, a couple thousand followers a month during the first few months of quarantine. And that's really when it exploded.
Yeah. Kat here is saying like Secret Santa lucky tip. Apparently she's from UK. Hi Kat, thanks for joining
Cat
us.
McLeod. Yeah, thanks for staying up
Yeah.
late to check us out.
She was also on the show. Thanks. She's always supporting me. So thank you so much. So you already talk about people getting to maybe taking too serious your memes and all that. So running a hospitality meme account must be risky. I can imagine sometimes. Was there ever a meme you posted where you thought, I might get a phone call about this tomorrow?
I'm sure that there definitely have been some. There have been some where I have thought better of it and took it down. I'm lucky that my better half is in human resources, so there's been a couple where she's like, I might want to take that
too far, coming too far.
Yeah, going too far. But thankfully, I have a pretty good internal radar. There's only been maybe 3 or 4 of those in all the time I've been doing this. I always tell people I try to. Well, there's a couple ways to answer that one. I try to stick to a situation. So I never really worry about quote unquote offending people. People get offended by all kinds of things these days. So I don't worry about it because I'm never going at a specific person or a specific department. Salespeople might argue, but if they really look at it, I'm joking about the situation that we're dealing with. I've never posted anything that says, oh, salespeople suck, or front office people suck, or housekeeping does this and they're terrible. It's a situation, that we all deal with, and that's right. I try to stick to that, and I think as long as you're doing that, and it's in the spirit of a good time, it's in the spirit of just taking a situation and learning to laugh at it. I always tell people the same meme you laughed at yesterday, just because you're dealing with it today doesn't mean it's not funny. When I posted about walking people, when you're walking someone, there's nothing funny about that. That's stressful. When you're dealing with a forecast or a budget or not getting a rate to a guest or any of the things that I've joked on, none of that is funny in the moment. But we've got to learn to just kind of let that roll off our backs. So what hospitality is all about. You're going to deal with it. No matter where you are in this world, working in a hotel, we're all dealing with the same stuff.
Yeah. So right. So since Revparblems, I almost got it right. Oh, I'm getting there. Exists because of industry frustrations. As you said, it's more like about the situation than the people specific. What is one thing, Calvin, that hotels still do that drives you absolutely crazy? What is your big frustration with hotels when you travel as a traveler?
I would say as a traveler, I think one of the biggest pet peeves is, and it's kind of a broad answer, but when you're not putting the guest first. When people are so hung up on their policies or just not being able to put yourself in the shoes of the guest and remember that you're there for hospitality. I think is the real answer. I can't think of a specific right now, but you can feel it when you go into a hotel and people don't care. Yeah. They don't care if you're there or not. And I'll give you a positive that can kind of illustrate the point. My wife and I went to a St. Regis in Mexico. I've been there a few times actually, and there's always a light in the room somewhere. You shut off everything, and there's like the fire alarm right above you. Like like I got to look at this all night, right? So there was a light on their thermostat that we saw, and my wife kind of thinks she put a bandage or something on top of it, and it was fine for us. It worked. We go to the beach the next day, come back to the room, and they had taken care of it. They actually put something on top of it, and it was like for someone to notice something that small, because that's not on any checklist for a housekeeper. That's not a, it doesn't say, hey, make sure the thermostat light isn't annoying to guests. That's never going to be on there. But they noticed it and they took care of it for us. That's how you're at a place that cares about service and cares about people. And especially as people who have, I've been in the industry as long as I have, and, live and breathe hospitality in hotels pretty much. When you go to a place and you don't get those little touches, and you see when the people don't care that you've even showed up, it's disappointing.
Yeah, I love that example. Really, it's really,
Yeah.
really, 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 really says what I think what you wanted to say in it. Yeah, I love it. We already kind of heading to the end of this really short show, but I do want to cover marketing a little bit, hotel
Yeah.
marketing more specifically. So, but let's be honest, Calvin. Like a lot of hotel marketing sounds the same. They're kind of basically the same. Well, in your opinion, since you work with it, like why do so many hotels struggle to tell a story that people actually care about? Why they keep just? It seems like they stuck with what is important, like with the room, with the
Yeah.
amenities and the view, but never like this story. It's very still rare, even though storytelling is so popular nowadays. Why do you think is that?
Well, this would have been my pet peeve overall. So I'm glad I got a chance to answer this question. Um, I it's mainly the reason why I started my agency, because we're just not doing a good enough job holistically as an industry of promoting our hotels. There's so many unique properties and unique stories to tell, but everybody's doing the same thing over and over. And that would be my biggest pet peeve in the industry right now as it stands. As for why, I think people people are just, there's this narrative, we've all heard it, oh, we've always done it like this,
Mhm.
and that's safe and that's comfortable, and people are afraid to stand out and be different. um, and that extends into your hotel. And to me, when you look at it logically and remove emotion from the conversation, your marketing, by a loose definition, is making a product stand out from the rest, right? Drawing attention to the thing you want to sell to people. But and you have all of these different hotels. Oh, we're an oasis, we're a luxury destination, where we're unique, we're holistic, we're bespoke. But your marketing looks just like the guy next door, and the guy next door, and the guy next door, and every other hotel in your market and in your city and in the industry. So how are you exactly any of those things that you claim to be? How can you possibly stand out if you're posting exactly like everybody else in your city? It doesn't make sense. Um, so yeah, it's I think it's a big issue. I think the reason is that people are afraid to take risks. People are afraid to step out and do something that people haven't seen before. And you think of all the best marketing, forget just hotels, any commercials, or other things that you see, that the things that stand out, the things you remember, the ones that are different, are the ones that are funny, unique. They evoke an emotion. They've given you a reason to remember it. I can remember commercials from the '90s. Going back full circle in this conversation, we can still reference some of these commercials from 30 years ago, because they were different and they were unique, and it wasn't the same silly, overdone stuff that you're seeing everywhere. I mean, look at the last Super Bowl. I dare anybody to name me a commercial that really stood out. It's
Yeah.
just not. They're more and more rare. It's a lot of the same crap. I mean, I saw Andy Cohen selling Skittles or Nerds. Why do I need Andy Cohen to tell me about Nerds? I know what Nerds are. They're awesome. They're tasty, and I will buy it regardless of whether he tells me to or not. Give me something different. Like come up with something unique. But you see it less and less now. And if you're just having an overall marketing conversation, I mean, even with content, content creators and quote unquote influencers, a lot of them just keep doing the same stuff. It's even we do influencer management in my agency, and we've been celebrated 5 years last year, and I could name 3 to 4 off the top of my head that are truly unique and are great at what they do. And I try to work with those people as much as possible. I hired one of them. She's so good, right? Shout out to Olive if you're watching. Um, but it's getting more rare for people to want to take risks. People are just kind of comfortable fitting in and doing what everybody else does, and that's carried over into the industry, into social media marketing in general.
But don't you think, like, yeah, I agree with you. I think people play safe more now than maybe before. But I don't know. I think it's the fear of the backlash, because now,
That's right.
everything's like it's a cancel, like it's always like, I don't know, feels like you murder someone sometimes, and even just because they don't agree with your idea, or
Yeah.
And I'm meaning like idea in a small concept of idea, not idea, you know what I mean? Like even with small things, people get crazy. So I think, especially content creators or marketing people, whatever.
Yeah. You
I
made
don't know.
that's a really good point. I think cancel culture has a big thing to do with it. We live in a world now where people are very quick to pull up a little thing and like, oh, you said this 15 years ago, you must be a terrible person, or any little thing. And not that I agree with what he said, but a good example recently is with Timothée Chalamet. I'm sure you've heard the situation. I don't agree with what he said. Quite frankly, I think it was pretty classless of him to beat down on anybody's art form, right? Like, and I feel the same way in hotels. We talk about how this department is the hardest. Everybody's job is the hardest. Just go do it for a day, and you tell me. You know what I mean? So, like, I can't do ballet, right? I'm not going to sit here and crap on a ballet, on a ballerina, or that's hard. I know it's hard, but you know why? Because you can't just come off your couch and go do it, or any of these art forms, right? However, the kind of stuff I've read about this kid in the past week, it's like we should take him out in the street and stone him. It's like, okay, he had an opinion. You don't have to agree with it. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's a good one either. But we don't have to kill the human being over having a bad opinion. He's entitled to that. He's entitled to be stupid about this if he wants to be. You know what I mean? But I think you've made a really good point. That has created a fear of people doing anything different or having a different opinion, or again, because we're having a marketing conversation, doing something that's going to be different to what everyone else does. Because if you do it, and maybe it doesn't work, maybe it doesn't land the way you want it to land, they're afraid of that potential backlash or getting clowned, or, oh my God, remember that silly thing you did? And it's like, well, nothing good comes out of everybody doing the same thing. So, if nobody goes out there and takes a risk and does something outside of the box, or I can give a good example of this. I know we're getting shorter in time, but this is a very good example.
Go ahead.
We had a hotel where a couple of years ago, for the full year, they gained about 240 followers. We then did some digging into the demographics and everything, and their audience was always predominantly female, but it kind of skewed even more female. Went from about 62% to 71%. And most of these are like younger millennial women. So we found an influencer that tapped into that demographic, and she did this really fun TikTok style video in the room. She used the pit bull, meet me in the hotel room. And there was clips of her and her friend getting ready, dancing, and having a good time. And I thought it was awesome because it really creates a connection with that audience, because this is what's happening on a Friday, Saturday night in the city with your friends. That's what they go into your hotel to do, Yeah. And this thing went crazy. We got maybe 500 clicks on the website that month. We gained over 300 followers within 2 weeks of her posting it, compared to 240 in a year.
All year,
Right. Yeah. And the pushback was that, oh, it wasn't classy enough. It wasn't luxury enough. It was a little too juvenile. And it's like, well, the results say different. Your audience says different, right?
Yeah.
But because that's different to what they have in their perception, in their mind of what a luxury hotel should be, they're never going to do that again.
Yeah.
Even though it worked. And
It's crazy. Yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy.
So I think that's a good illustration of some of what we're up against in marketing in hotels. Even when you have the backup, even when you have the analytics and the results to show, there's still this fear of, okay, but that doesn't look like what a luxury hotel should do.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't do that again. Okay.
It's also disconnection between what the image the hotel wants to present and what it's actually their target audience want.
Exactly.
And it's hard to admit, I guess, for them. Yeah. That they are
exactly.
either that they are wrong or it's not because I don't know. Anyway, we can go here or no, but I think sometimes they want the hotels for themselves, the people that run, and not necessarily the people that buy. Like, yeah. Anyway.
That's exactly it, and that's kind of last point I'll make on this is your social media pages are not for you; they're for your audience. A hotel, what you as the director of sales and marketing or whoever it is that has that kind of final say over that, it doesn't matter what you like. It matters what the audience likes, because you need that audience to engage with the content, to flow to your website and book a room at the hotel you work at. It doesn't, your opinion, your aesthetic is not the be all end all. So and that's where I think people kind of get it wrong, is you can have an idea, but test some stuff out. Now, if this works, but this isn't what I thought would work, should that matter?
Yeah.
If your audience people are following the account, people are visiting the website, so give them more of that. Clearly, that's what they like. Who cares what I like? It doesn't matter. This is working because we got a hotel to sell. So who cares?
Yeah. But I do have to admit, as a content creator and marketer and all that, it is one of the hardest lessons for me because you think to yourself, like, of course this is good because you take your own values or whatever, taste, and then it's like, no. And you have to, you kind of create content for yourself, but it's not, at the end of the day, you create it for your audience.
And it's a little different. Even with content creation, I mean, I could tell I have spent hours making memes before, where editing and you do all of this stuff, and there's like, oh, there's like this joke, but then there's this joke in it, like it's going to be great, and it does okay. And then something you make as I'm walking around the mall, it explodes. I'm like, I made this in 4 seconds and everybody's loving it, and I spent 2 hours on this meme last week, like, but even that's how I've started my agency, it's because I learned that lesson through content creation. And it's not to say that I don't post what I feel is funny. If I don't think it's funny, it's not going up there. But I notice what people like. You notice the timing of things.
A little bit,
you notice the timing of things. Like, okay, well, this is what people like, and I know that it's Wednesday, right? People are likely dealing. The Star Report just came out last night, so everybody's analyzing today. Commentaries due tomorrow, right? I can make something that I know, okay, this person's going to they're going to be able to react to that because they're doing that right now. So when you know your audience and you're willing to be able to say, well, if this is what they like, they must give more of that. Who cares? Right? Put your ego aside. It's not about you. It's about your audience. And when it comes to marketing a hotel, that has to be paramount, because this is what pays the bills. Getting those people in the door and sleeping in beds and booking rooms, that pays for everything. So you can't think that your opinion matters more than that. That's it. That's an ego problem.
Yeah. Amen to that. So, all right, Calvin, before we go, this is the moment. This is the moment
for that.
So this is the moment the hospitality leader escapes. So it's time for Would You Rather. Let me get here. So if you're new here, Would You Rather is the fast fun part of the show, at least we're talking about my taste, my great taste for me, and I like it. I think it's funny, and I hope you also think it is. So I present two situations, and my guest Calvin now. We have to pick one. No overthinking. Just say what you prefer. Don't need to. Don't need to. How do you say that? Don't need to justify or anything. Just tell me what you prefer. So, are you
All right.
ready? Okay, let's do it.
I believe so. Let's do it.
First one. Would you rather never be able to post memes again, or keep posting but never be allowed to say what you really think?
I would rather post and never say what I really think, because I'm kind of doing that now anyway.
Cool. Next one. Would you rather be in a revenue meeting where no one understands the data, or be in a marketing meeting where everyone thinks they are creative directors?
I will take the marketing meeting. Marketing is more fun for me. So I think I'd just rather be in that room regardless of what I'm dealing with.
Okay, cool. Next one. Would you rather understand the algorithm perfectly but hate the content you create? So you know how it works, so you do what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Or love your content but have no idea why it performs, or how to get better.
No, I'm going to take the first one. We're about results. So even like I just said, even if I personally don't like the content, but it's working and it's doing what it has to do, we're going with that.
Nice. Next one. Would you rather go viral for a meme that slightly offends people, or stay safe and never go viral?
I'm going to go viral. No matter what I'm sure somebody was offended by what I posted today. It doesn't matter. Somebody will always be offended. Someone on the planet will find a way to be mad at what you posted. You can't worry about it.
Well, let's hope your wife doesn't see whatever you're doing. And last one. Would you rather have full creative freedom but no budget, or have a big budget but every idea needs 10 approvals?
That is a tough question. Huh. Am I allowed to ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
Well, all right. What's the goal? I guess what's the goal? Oh
The
man.
goal, I don't know. I didn't think that far for that that dilemma, but we can create a goal here. I guess what I had in mind, it is more. Of course, you're working for a hotel, so
Mhm.
your goal is to help them convert more bookings. I guess. I think that's all I was thinking.
Then
I'm sure if it helps.
I will go with the big budget. I'll go with
Okay.
the big budget, because if our goal is to, if this is a marketing for a hotel question, then we'll go with the big budget. If we need to have the conversations, we'll have them, but more likelihood that we get some results there.
Nice. Thanks for playing along. And before we wrapped up, Calvin, I do have just, I promise this is the last question. It's what gives the show its name. So, Calvin, your brand is built around humor, calling out industry nonsense. But when you're not online, what does Off the Clock Calvin actually like to do?
Oh, I've become a drummer over the past year and a half. Absolutely love it. Pretty much anytime I get a free moment, that's what I'm doing. I did it for 10 minutes before I jumped on here, so I could loosen up and get creative. Yeah, something I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's kind of one of those things where you tell yourself, "Oh, one day when I've got all the time and everything's covered, I'll do it." And you realize that day never comes. And finally got up enough guts to start doing it. absolutely love it. So I'm either
Oh,
doing that or watching Arsenal and playing with my dog.
nice. Good for you. I Does your wife, family, and neighbors also like the drum? That you're playing the drum?
Well, unlike the '90s that we've referenced in many times in this conversation, we have technology has come a long way. So there's electronic drum kits that I have. I have it right in my office. I don't know.
Well, now I lost Calvin, I
Yeah, sorry.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I move my cord, but yeah, I have an electronic drum kit. So I put these headphones in, and all they really hear is kind of like a little tapping. My dog loves
Oh,
it actually. He comes every time I start playing. He comes and sits next to me.
oh,
Something
that's
about it he
nice.
really likes.
Oh,
So
that's really cool. Well, thank you so much, Calvin. So that's a wrap on Off the Clock. Again, thank you for taking the time to be here and having the talk. I know we got over, so I really appreciate. Thank you so much, Calvin.
of course, it's a pleasure.
Thank you all for watching the show and for being in the chat and supporting the show. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy it, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. It really helps me keep these conversations going. And that's it for today, everybody. This was Off the Clock, where job titles take a break and real conversations take the spotlight. See you next time. Bye bye.